Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Far Above Rubies today. I'm so very glad that each of you are here. Today, as we're continuing our walk through our original series called Understanding the Enemy, we are taking a look at the thought, the enemy is shakeable. The enemy is shakeable. We're going to read James chapter 4 and verse 7. It says this: submit yourselves to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. First, we're going to define submit. Submit means to humble yourself before, to yield to make yourself subject to, okay? So submit yourself to God. Humble yourself before God. Yield to the will of God and His plans and His purpose. Make yourself subject to Him. I am yours. I am yours. Submit yourself to God. Resist, to stand up to not be pushed around by. Resist the devil. Stand up to him. Don't let him beat you down. Don't let him beat you into submission to him. Don't allow him to push, bully, harass you. Resist him. Use that word of God like we talked about yesterday and say, I am not a victim. I am not a victim. A lot of people both quote and practice the second half of this verse, of this equation, without remembering the first half. Oh, I resist the devil? Psh, devil ain't got no place around here. Not today, Satan. I put it on my t-shirts. I put it on my handbags. I'll put it on my bumper sticker, on my phone cover. I resist the devil. Not today, Satan. You ain't got no room here. And then they forget that the first half of this equation was submit yourself to God. Oh, yeah, about that. Submit myself to God. I mean, like, I love God. And I read the Bible and I go to church. That's enough, right? That's submitting myself to God. No, no, no. That is not submission to God. Submitting to God is an honest conversation that is practiced and lived out daily. Jesus, I am yours. I am yours. To do with as you will. I surrender to your will and your way in my life. You want me to leave that alone, God? You want me to put that down, God? Done. Done. No questions asked. You want me to take up that ministry, that calling. You want me to follow that path, God, even if it's hard. Done. Without question, without judgment, without fight. I surrender. I submit. That is how we submit ourselves to God. When we submit ourselves, when we make ourselves subject to God, it is no longer me, myself, and I resisting the devil. Me, myself, and I. Suddenly, it's me and God's army. You ever heard that story, that saying as a kid? You and what army? When we submit ourselves to God, when we make ourselves subject to Him, we yield to Him, we surrender to Him, and then we resist the devil, it's no longer just us trying to puff ourselves up and look mean to the devil. It's now me and God's army. When we are submitted to God, we are openly declaring that we belong to Him. That is the God's honest truth. When we submit to God, whatever it is He's asked us to submit to Him in, when we do that, when we submit our will to His, we openly declare, I belong to God. I belong to God. The devil can only give so much pushback to a child of God. He has to play by God's rules when we belong to God. When we don't belong to God, when we don't truly belong to God, we haven't submitted ourselves to God, when we haven't allowed God to guide and lead, when we do those things, the enemy has to play by God's rules. This verse goes back to Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 through 11 that we talked about. Jesus showed us how to create a big neon sign that says, I submit, I belong to, I am the property of God. And it looked like this. Yeah. But God says, no, that's not true. God says we lean into him. It's not just leaning against the devil in resistance. It's leaning into God and saying, yeah, but that's my papa. That's my dad. That's my father. He showed us how the devil reacts when the devil is coming up against nothing but the word of God. Submit yourself to God. Surrender to him. Resist the devil. When Jesus resisted the devil in the wilderness, he was totally, his flesh, his body was totally submitted to the things of God, to the Spirit of God inside of him. He had been fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. That, my friend, is what submission to the Spirit looks like. Being able to bring your flesh under control and your flesh not being able to own you and say, yeah, that faith stuff is good, but I want to watch this. Yeah, that faith stuff is good, but I want to go here. Yeah, that faith stuff is here, but I want this inappropriate relationship. Yeah, that faith stuff. That's what your flesh looks like, being out of control. When we get our flesh under control and we submit our flesh to the Spirit of God in our lives, we surrender our flesh, that we make our flesh do what the Spirit of God desires us to do. That is being submitted to God. And we put that equation into practice all together. Submit to God. Resist the devil, and he flees from us. A plus B equals C. Submit to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee. He has no other choice. Because he's no longer just fighting, coming up against you yourself. He's coming up against you and heaven's armies. Go read James chapter 4, verse 7. Understand that the devil is shakeable. You can shake him off of your tail. You can shake him off of your case. You can shake him to his very core, to where he doesn't just turn around and walk away. He flees. He runs the other direction. He is shakeable. Go read James chapter 4 and verse 7. If no one's told you lately, you are loved and you are cherished and you are valuable. You have beautiful and tremendous worth, my sweet friend, and that worth is far above rubies. I'm going to see you tomorrow. I hope that you'll go and invite your friends. We are getting ready to go into our 5-year anniversary celebration in the month of July. I do a lot of giveaways and fun stuff in that month, and I hope that you'll invite all of your lady friends to come into this group, hear the word of God with us daily, and celebrate with us in the month of July. Thank you so much for being here today. I'll see you all again tomorrow. God bless you.